What is it that you think when someone mentions the word English learning or English accents? Is it reduced to one or two particular countries? Probably you do. And most of the things you will think about would be Britain and the United States of America, which is the issue that we're going to tackle in this project. How do people see English learning as a divided continuum of accents within the English-speaking world? That is that our goal is focused on recognizing different countries in Africa which have English as their second official language, or on the other hand, they could have it as one of the other languages, which is the tongue that most of the population uses to communicate between themselves, because there are several languages which are spoken within that nation. The idea is to recognize and make visible the fact that there is more beyond the British and American standard of English that is what usually is learned in the English second language environment.
English is the official language in many African countries like Rwanda, Zimbabwe, South Africa, Liberia, Namibia, Nigeria, Ghana, and Kenya. For the previous reason, we are going to be focused on three countries: South Africa, Kenya, and Nigeria, known worldwide but not precisely for the language. There are 521 languages that have been spoken in Nigeria, 9 of which are now extinct. In some areas of Nigeria, ethnic groups speak more than one language. The official language of Nigeria, English, was chosen to facilitate the cultural and linguistic unity of the country. Even though most ethnic groups prefer to communicate in their own language, English as the official language is widely used for education, business transactions, and official purposes. The policy made it explicit that from the fourth year of education, the medium of instruction shall be in English language, while the language of the immediate environment and French shall be taught as subjects.
There are many languages like Yoruba, Igbo, Hausa, many. But there are some people they don't speak English. They don't understand English. Like my own mother, she don't understand English. She don't speak English.
Go into Kenya. Kenya has two official languages. Those are English and Swahili or Kiswahili. An average person in Kenya speaks at least 3 languages. It is estimated that in Kenya there are 61 languages. There are 61 languages spoken in Kenya. There is also an urban slang variety commonly spoken by urban youths called Snach, with a grammar that is very close to Swahili. Education in Kenya, there are several languages policies that recognize English as the medium of instruction in the urban areas in all levels of education. In the rural areas where linguistic homogeneity exists, the policy identifies indigenous languages as the initial languages of instruction until the 3rd grade, with English taught as a subject. In the 4th grade, English takes over as the medium of instruction. After the 3rd grade, the use of local languages is not allowed in schools. Since English is given a privileged role in the entire education system, admission into public universities in Kenya is highly dependent. I want to give you some examples between the differences in stress between English, the standardized, and Kenyan accents. For example, in English, the standard English, the pronunciation for the word execute is stressed at the beginning of the word, but in Kenyan, stress is execute. There are like a difference. Also, it has the example of demonstrate. In standard English, demonstrate has stress at the beginning, but in the Kenyan stress is demonstrate. There are like a difference. Another example is the word progress. In the standard English, the accent or the stress is in the beginning of the word, progress. But in Kenyan, stress is progress. There are several differences, like we are going to see in the next video.
You're going to learn how to introduce yourself in Swahili. You learn both an informal and formal way to do it. But unlike many other languages, there is not a very big difference between informal and formal speech in Swahili. First, let's see how Kenyan people introduce themselves in an informal situation. Habari, mimi ni Medina. Nina furaha kukutana na wewe. Hi, I'm Medina. Nice to meet you.
8th century, the language which was commonly used in South Africa was Afrikaans, because it was a tongue that colonists used to get together a lot of cultures which were present in one country. However, as South Africa was geographically located in a strategic location for economy and exploitation purposes, many of the British colonists tried to impose English as one of the languages to communicate and to be the medium of instruction of different cultures within a country.
As a conclusion, we can say that we, as future teachers, must include interaction, diversity in languages, and cover different objectives in students, addressing social issues in different parts of the world, especially those that include Spanish and English as mother languages. In this way, students will identify different aspects of society and hope each one of them can help them to achieve some goals.
Another conclusion is that we have recognized through this whole work that Africa is a continent which is very pluricultural, multicultural, and it has a wide range of languages spoken in the region, coinciding European languages and African indigenous languages. That is the reason why there is a big widespread linguistic diversity, and there's a need to recognize more policies, more language policies, which are going to determine the preservation of culture, but as well they are going to assure communication between nations and local cultures which speak different languages in the region. One of the challenges for language research and language education in Africa, especially those countries we have been talking about, is to look out language policies, look out different ways to integrate and to not separate cultural aspects such as language and the influence European languages has over local languages, which are a source of pride and cultural identity in African regions.
Research in Kenya and in South Africa and in Nigeria not spread because they have research that came from another parts of the world. For example, countries like United States and Great Britain. So one of the new topics should language and educational school address is trying to develop the languages, the policies of languages, the language in general of the African countries.